This week's episode is brought to you by Blue Harvest Vintage. Are you a collector? Blue Harvest love to help you find that missing piece you need to complete your collection. They have extensive stock of vintage Star Wars vehicles and mint-on-card action figures, as well as new The Force Awakens and Black Series items. Blue Harvest have Funko Pops, Lego, Dinky, Corgi, Matchbox and more. Everything a collector could possibly need. If they don't stock it, then let them know, and their knowledgeable staff will be only too pleased to help. Head to Morley Market in Leeds to see the life-size Darth Vader. Alternatively, reach out to Blue Harvest on Twitter at Blue Harvest UK, Facebook, Blue Harvest Vintage Collectibles, a website, blueharvestvintage.co.uk, or email at blueharvesttoys@gmail.com.
This is Talk Star Wars, the official podcast at talkstarwars.co.uk. Hello everyone, welcome back to Talk Star Wars. I'm Mark.
I'm Stephen.
I'm Rob.
And I'm Paul.
And we nailed it for episode 40. Welcome back everybody.
Ooh, that was really boring.
People love it when we screw it up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How are we doing,
love
guys?
the delightful shambles.
We've had half an hour of shambles before the show.
Yeah.
I'm good. How is everyone?
Yeah. Sound as a pound.
Glad to hear you're feeling better, Rob.
I'm okay, thank you very much.
Yeah, we don't care about you.
You're naked.
I wasn't feeling well earlier, Steve. This is why Paul's pleased to hear I'm doing
I wonder
right.
why the email, "Are you better?" I was like, yeah.
Yeah, I thought it was about me, but I was coming online anyway, so I thought I'd just thank Paul in person, as it were. So I did.
Yeah, I think it was the curious position of your webcam, Steve, and your nakedness that cheered Rob right up.
It really did.
That's right, you did.
I perked right up.
You perked being the operative word. I had to do our picture tonight is of my nose because I'm so naked that even not a picture of my very nakedness would be enough not to be not naked, if you know what I mean.
The only thing you've got on tonight is a beard.
That's what I meant to say.
Yeah, that would have been cleaner, wouldn't it?
And that was drawn on.
All right. Before we get into the show properly, let's just do a couple of shout outs. I want to just draw everyone's attention to the fact that our sponsors that they would have heard at the top of the show are offering a 10% discount in their store if you say that Talk Star Wars sent you. That's Blue Harvest. So rewind it, pay attention to their social links, go seek them out. They are worth your attention. Rob, you wanted to say something to another podcast?
Yes, I just wanted to make a quick shout out to Robert Cast, who is one of the hosts of Roman Pod and Cast. They're a couple of really great Canadian guys whose podcast I've just started listening to, and they were kind enough to give us some lovely feedback on their last episode, so I thought I'd return the favour.
Yeah, thank you very much. I've seen a few tweets from Rob, actually.
Yeah, if you enjoy people kind of giving funny takes on the news, especially news that's a bit weird in itself, then Roman Pod and Cast is a great show for it.
That sounds like my cup of tea.
Oh, you would love it, mate. It's brilliant. It's really, really funny.
Always trust the high recommend.
Yes, indeed.
We don't do geek, do we, obviously? Why would we do geek? But this is quite geeky. But Jen said I can have, if I can find one, I can have an 18 member. No, I can find if I can find the Millennium Falcon, I can have it. Not the real one. I don't think that's up for sale.
A Kenner one?
No, Kenner my arse. Oh. Sorry.
That's all right. That's fine.
That's fine. You can get away with that on The Simpsons.
No, the model one that was £9 million if you bought the magazines, or £27.50 afterwards.
You can build this terrifying model.
Yeah.
Right,
you don't want
searching.
It finished, do you? You want to build it?
Yeah. Build it, schmild it. I want to buy it.
No.
You just want to play with it, mate.
Steve, I
just want to play with it.
I think it's adorable that you think magazine will make it till the end. They never do.
No, you just said that with like the ramp that broke the leg.
I need to interject here, gentlemen. I know somebody that bought this thing called Builder Model Solar System.
Oh yeah.
And it was a brass orrery, and I bought every single.
Try saying that 3 times fast.
Brass orrery, anus.
Anyway. I just started hearing brass orrery after a while.
Yeah, brass orrery. Anyway, I bought every single magazine. I built the orrery, and it is still quite a pride of place sort of ornament in the house. And if I plug it in, it's got every single gear on it is completely tuned for correct orbital speed and everything. It's absolutely stunning.
I believe that there are people who get to the end. I just don't believe that 9 out of the 10 magazines get to the end, let alone the people.
Yeah, I know you don't actually read the magazine. You pop off the plastic on the front, you start building, you throw the magazine away somewhere.
Oh, okay, fair enough.
Not Star Wars stuff. We have to read the Star Wars.
No, hey, this week's a new screw.
You have to read the articles on the Star Wars stuff. That's just the way it goes.
I only buy magazines for articles.
I would love to subscribe to that. I'd love to do that. They should build an R2.
That is a good idea. Sideshow Collectibles are doing a life-size R2.
A Death Star.
Oh man, a full size. I was so disappointed when I saw the advert for the Millennium Falcon and it said 1-to-1 scale. I went no, and then it went prop. I was like,
yeah, you realise the Falcon's not a real thing.
No, I was like, well, at that point I was thinking maybe I could get the parts to build one. I was thinking it would probably be a lot of magazines, but I would have done it.
You should build it and live in it like a house.
Exactly. It would have been a pretty cheap house by some standards.
Yeah.
Plus, it has a lot of storage.
Before we get into our announcement section proper, I just want to give a shout out to Debbie, who's the better half of Blue Harvest. I don't think Marc would mind me saying that. Our sponsor, because on the 11th of September it is her birthday. I won't tell you what number it is, but she doesn't look at it certainly. So many.
Is she as young as us?
Yeah, ballpark.
Luckily for her, no.
Many happy returns of the day, Debbie. You'll be hearing this on Monday, so we hope you had a cracking weekend.
Happy birthday, Debbie.
Okay,
Absolutely.
Let's get into this then. So we've got a couple of quick announcement bits and then some juicy reviews. This week's Facebook community has grown by a couple of people. We've picked up 2 new likes on the Facebook page in the form of Kevin Jackson and Scott. I think that's Ryfan.
I think Ryfan seems right, yeah.
Yeah, I'm sorry if I've butchered that. So thank you for liking the page and welcome to the Talk Star Wars family.
Oh, we also picked up a couple more by the looks. Further back in the week.
Did we?
Monday. I'm seeing Monday and Tuesday as well.
I may have missed that. All right, apologies if I missed people.
Connor McGlone, who we should all know.
Oh, that's on the Star Wars Commonwealth, I think.
Oh, am I looking? No, it's Talk Star Wars.
Oh, was it?
Yeah. I've got Scott Ryfan, Kevin Jackson, Connor McGlone.
All right, so Connor hasn't been doing his job properly then, has he, by not having liked the page before?
I don't know.
Disgusting. Connor.
He's a VIP, though, so
good to have you as well,
swings and roundabouts.
And the YouTube channel has grown just by a couple. So Darth Dam and 2 Honest Guys have subscribed to the channel, so thank you for doing your part. Yeah, we're getting there slowly.
Yeah, I think 2 Honest Guys have a podcast.
They do indeed, yeah.
Yeah.
So I think if they might want a shout out for their podcast, they should do a 5-star review in iTunes because of the Ron Burgundy guarantee.
Yes.
In case you're not familiar with the concept, I will Ron Burgundy any review that's left in iTunes for us. As in, I will read whatever you write as long as it's not hate speak or full of profanity. So with that in mind, we've got a couple here for us to get to this week. 5-star.
With hate speak and profanity in mind.
Yeah. Rob, you actually sent these my way, which I greatly appreciate with that new little
you're
gizmo
very welcome.
Yours.
I've got a new little toy, which I'm very pleased with. I may not keep the trial going because it is quite pricey.
Yeah.
We'll see how we get on because actually, if the benefits outweigh the cost, then I'm good.
Yes, yeah. Well, we'll work something out there. This one actually made my day. I was having a pretty rotten morning when I got this review, and it brightened my day no end. So, thank you to Speed Model that left the 5-star review in.
This is a good one.
Was this in the US store?
This was in the US store. Yeah,
this was US. Yeah, so he's written, "I nearly fell to my death." Now that is always a day brightener. I nearly fell to my death from a ladder numerous times while listening to these guys. Sure, they elevate Star Wars speculation to an art form, but then they sneak some up on you with something side-splittingly funny. This is a dangerous mix. Keep up the good work, gentlemen. So thank you very much for that. That was
very kind.
Yeah, that's awesome.
They have no idea how unintentional the
the humour's kind of unintentional.
No one even cares if I'm here.
We still don't want it.
Are you still there?
Steve, I didn't know you were on.
No, I lost my connection and it took me 5 minutes to get it back, and no one even said, "Oh, Steve's back."
Steve, we were just being
professional.
Acknowledge
because actually we didn't acknowledge you'd gone, Steve. We kept it. We were keeping it on the down low. We were just going to assume you're a mute or sulking or something.
We just
let the fans fill in the blanks for themselves.
We thought we would professionally just bring you back.
I was going to do my Paul Daniels impression about Debbie's birthday as well, and you had already cut off by the time I did it.
Yeah, probably.
Idolise me, Debbie.
That might be not in altogether good taste, considering recent events. Rest in peace, Paul Daniels. Moving on to Carlos Candido. He's left us. I love this guy. He's awesome. He's left us a 5-star review in a Canadian store. He's written, "I'm incredibly happy to have found this podcast through the Star Wars Commonwealth, care of Tumbling Saber." So it's already working. The guys are spreading the love.
That's it.
Awesome banter without any delusions of grandeur. If you like Star Wars, listen to Talk Star Wars. Also, if you like the occasional Star Wars reference dropped into random craziness, subscribe to Thinking Out Loud podcast on iTunes. Cheers.
I already have.
That's what this Ron Burgundy guarantee is all about.
It's all about getting your stuff out there plugged.
It is. It's about sharing the love.
Yep.
Carlos is an incredible musician. I know I've mentioned him before.
Yes.
We've got a bunch of CDs. I'm going to give some away. So.
Oh, cool.
Which I've already sent one out to a question of the week.
Okay. I know where that's gone then.
Yeah, I think I might try and find a better mechanic for getting that out. So
okay, I'm
going to give it some thought. So hold fire.
Did you just fling it in their general direction? Because the post, I've been saying for ages, the post is much better for this stuff.
Yeah. I hadn't thought it through clearly.
All
right, let's get into listener comms. Who wants to take Kyle's question this week? Paul?
I'll do it if you want.
Oh, go on then, Steve.
It's really short as well. That's a good result, isn't it? Who is going to say the famous line, "I've got a bad feeling about this," in episode 8, and will they say it at all in Rogue One?
Oh, me.
Good, Paul.
That's the.
Paul's going to say it.
It's the first line of the film, and it's Luke.
Yeah?
Do you think he's still standing there? He's still standing there.
That's awesome.
I've got a bad feeling about. Now that'd be horribly corny, but I can see it.
Yeah, see,
that's great. That's a real. I mean, I could see that.
What, Luke saying it? I can't see Luke saying it.
No, I can't see it at all.
It's too comic relief, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, you throw the happy bits out, and then you throw all the darkness in afterwards. Don't forget, it's part 2 of the 3, so this is obviously the Empire. So.
I don't think they're going to throw back Han's death in our face that quickly.
I reckon Luke's going to resurrect him anyway. So
other people have had this line, though, right?
Yeah, Leia,
Lando.
Yeah.
In Jedi.
Bad feeling about this.
And there was that big salmon chap.
Big salmon chap.
Yeah.
Akbar.
Do you mean Akbar?
Yeah. Do you know how hard it is?
No, I don't think so.
Oh, do you know how hard it is for him to get up a river to mate every year? And you're just taking the mickey out of him. Hauling his fat butt up that rockery.
Once he leapt straight into the mouth of a Wookiee.
Steve, in your best Akbar, say, "I've got a bad feeling about this."
I've got a bad feeling about this.
Yeah, it does kind of work.
Yeah.
Okay, we all agree it's going to be Akbar.
Oh my God, it's a weir.
What was that one?
Well, it's a carp.
No, it's a weir. When he can't get upstream.
It's amazing.
It's good. I like it.
It's a dam.
I would have. It's a bear. I would have given that line to Finn personally.
Yeah, I can see Finn. I can see Poe as well. They're both kind of embodying part of that Han Solo.
Yes, nail on head.
Stuff, aren't they?
Yeah, it's got, if anyone, it's Poe, but hopefully no one.
From some of the stuff that I've been hearing about 8 and Poe's story responsibilities, I suspect he might be a little bit more serious.
Okay.
I think this sort of charming, offbeat stuff will probably go to Finn.
Okay. Yeah, I can see where you're coming from there.
But we'll see. We've not got long to wait. That's awesome.
Yes, indeed.
Thanks, Kyle. And he also said he's got a meatier question for us.
What about the Rogue One question?
Oh, yeah. Will it be said in Rogue One? Yeah.
Of course, yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Who's going to say it in that one?
Well, we know it's not Baze because he would have told us at Celebration.
I reckon it's the CGI Han Solo.
I think somebody on the other side's got to say it.
Rennick?
That'd be cool.
Do you think?
Darth Vader.
I need to stop looking at news stories about Krennic.
CGI Tarkin, I think.
CGI Tarkin.
Yeah.
Well, what about CGI Han?
What, in Rogue One?
Why not?
No. Stop
it. I'm still wary of having too many fan
There's
service
no reason to have him in the context of the film, is there? Really?
Unless
our introduction was at Mos Eisley, so
yeah. The only thing I can think of is if they go looking for people, and before they start getting successfully recruiting into their team, they have a few failures. Like in X-Men First Class, where they're going around, or signing people up, and they approach Wolverine, and he says what he says. So I think maybe they have something like that, where they go looking for a few people, and they don't successfully recruit everybody they want, or they have a few failures before they start getting success.
Giving this a little thought, I think it might even be Bodhi Rook. Okay.
Yeah, I can see that.
Because he's got a foot in both camps in this film, hasn't he? So
yeah,
maybe he's slightly more cautious than the rest.
Or Cassian Andor, maybe.
Yeah, I could see that too, because he's very much got a Han.
It's a bit kind of on the nose for Jyn, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, she's going to be a little bit more militaristic, I think, isn't she? A bit more straight-laced.
Yeah, I think that's reasonable.
A bit like Leia, I guess.
Yeah.
Okay, that's awesome. Yeah. Thanks, Carl. Look forward to your question next week, because he says it's meteor.
Oh, marvellous.
Right, we've got a question from Andrew Green.
Okay.
Someone want to take that?
Hang on.
I'll go for that one.
Go on in.
Yeah? Unless you want it, Paul.
No, sorry, I'm flicking between pages.
Oh, okay. Right, so.
Crying a little, I'm very sorry. Hang on, I'm going to mute.
Okay. All right, so Andrew writes, got a question for you guys. Sent it via Twitter a bit back, and you may have considered it and moved on, but here goes. So this Palpatine dude has a reputation as a master manipulator and ting, right?
I love that.
And ting, yeah. I've watched a couple of Alpa highlights recently, and it set me off. I know we can't retcon, so we're stuck with canon, but if he was any good, wouldn't he just manipulate his way into the Vice-Chancellor's office, then quietly arrange an accident or something to get the big job? And he tells Grievous that Dooku's death was necessary, and he would soon have a new apprentice, one much younger and more powerful. Seems a bit clumsy for this shadowy figure used to keeping stuff to himself to blurt that sort of thing out to an employee. What other examples are there where Palps went all a bit dumb in the name of storytelling, and do we think Snoke will suffer the same fate? May the Force be with you, Andrew. That's a good question. And I'm really reluctant to destroy it.
No, do it. Open up on it. Go on.
All right. So
fair game.
It's not a destruction as such. It's just kind of I'm going to elaborate somewhat on the point. So yes, he could have manipulated his way into the Vice Chancellor's office and then just kind of assumed the role, but there's more to his acquisition. Thank you. There's more to his acquisition. I did it again. Of power than just becoming the Chancellor. He's also got to have emergency powers granted to him over a period of years and continue to stay in office well past his term in order to reorganize everything into the Empire.
Yes, and he needs to be viewed as the better option, like the saving grace, if you like. And by inheriting a role, he would probably seem a little bit weaker than he does swooping in to save the Republic as he did.
Yeah.
Over the course of the first two prequel films.
Yeah, it seems to me like he would have to. He needs to do more than just get his office. He needs to do more than just get his job title. He also needs to set events in motion like the production of clones.
Yeah.
And things like that. And also, what was the other piece?
It doesn't matter. Grievous.
Yeah, it doesn't matter if Grievous knows because he's probably got it into his head that Grievous is going to die anyway.
Yeah, and the thing is with these Sith apprentices, they must all think that they're getting one up on the previous guy, mustn't they? And like Grievous must think, oh well, if I'm being taken into his confidence, I'm the guy who's safe. When he's just as expendable as everybody else. Because it's all that sort of pit of betrayal, isn't it, the Sith? It's never about taking somebody on. No. Like his commitment to Vader isn't necessarily out of honour or respect or anything like that. It's just he's the last one standing.
It's the next available on the ladder.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it makes you wonder how they remain even remotely comfortable in the situation, because it's like, hang on a minute, if there's been like 4, 5, 6, surely there's another one. But
I mean, the thing to keep in mind, however, is that Andrew is right in that Palpatine does the biggest bonehead move, which is to believe that Vader can never be turned to the light.
Well, this is Luke. This is going to be my thing that when Andrew said what other examples are there that Palpatine went a bit dumb. All of his moves were dumb from a certain point of view. Like Luke spells out in Jedi that he's overconfident and that's his weakness.
Yeah.
So that's what we get. That we get the God's eye view from the audience, don't we? That this guy's he's an idiot because he's drunk with power, thinks he's untouchable. Exactly. And the pit bull he's got on the chain, he thinks will never turn and bite him in the form of Vader, because he thinks that they're locked in this relationship where he's always the Vader will always be the underdog, and it just wasn't the case. So Luke was right. His overconfidence was his weakness, and that was his weakness from the start. Mm-hmm. So every move he made really was dumb.
Yeah,
he just got
in hindsight. Yeah.
It's just a lot of people around him were dumber.
The other issue is with Vader. Was he the first? I don't want to sound romantic or anything, but it's popped in. But was he the first instance where another close family member, and it can't, it doesn't get much closer than your son and so on. Mm-hmm. That was the pulling force, which was obviously going to be a stronger element. You don't get that kind of thing. I don't think you've had that other thing with other Sith so much, have we? So,
no, all the Sith have had.
We've got a yin yang situation, obviously, with Kylo.
Kylo's kind of like he's close to Vader, really, and he's what makes up that character's motivations. They're close to Vader, but everyone in the previous movies, Vader was motivated by very selfish objectives, like using the Sith's power to help save Padme.
Yep.
Dooku's motivations were slightly more altruistic. Like, he had a vision for peace around the galaxy, and he thought he could use the Sith to achieve that. So everyone came to their roles with something. That's what Palpatine did. That wasn't stupid, wasn't it? It was play on those desires of those people that were driving them. So he said to them, "I can help I can help you achieve your goals. All you need to do is walk this line with me. Sometimes we'll have to do some darker stuff, and sometimes we'll be doing."
You know how to hang a carrot, didn't he? Yeah.
He did, and I think every single one of them thought, "Well, we'll get him to a certain point, and then we'll overthrow him." And of course, he was one step ahead of all of them.
Yeah.
So he did. He did play them all quite well, but Vader's weakness was grander than anybody else's, because the next person Palpatine was sizing up was his kid, whereas everybody else was replaced by somebody that was off in the wings that they didn't know about.
That's where I was trying to.
Yeah. Good question, though.
Yeah, but extending on it, says, do you think Snoke will suffer the same fate? I really hope not. I seriously want Snoke to be a sinister, dark, uncalculable character. That'd be really interesting. I don't know if they're portraying that yet with, whatever holographic image and so on we get, holographic image we're getting and so on. But I want Snoke to be sharp, really, really sharp.
Yeah,
4K sharp.
Yeah, I'm with you there. I don't think the story will be served by Snoke being a buffoon. I think he needs to be this Machiavellian genius.
Yeah, but especially as we have the possibility now introduced into our story that he may not be Force sensitive. As in himself, he might just be somebody who knows the ways.
Is this life debt?
I'm basing it kind of on life debt. Yeah. So it's a possibility because it hasn't been clarified yet. But I think he probably will be, but there is the possibility that he's not.
Yeah, the biggest hint is the line, "Come to me with Kylo Ren, and I'll complete his training." Right? So that's the biggest hint.
As long as he's a lesson ahead of his student, he's good, right? It's like teaching anything.
Yeah, but we don't know really what he's talking about training him, does it? Kylo's learnt everything as when he was Ben Solo. He learnt everything. He could have learnt everything he knows now from Luke.
Sure, yeah,
and maybe
absolutely.
That's just something that he brings to this new order with Snoke.
Plus, he doesn't need to be strong in the Force to have access to the teachings of, say, holocrons and stuff, as long as somebody's showing him how to access it.
Yeah. The interesting thing is Snoke's interest in the girl, though, right? In Rey.
Sure.
And that's when I first saw that, the first thing that crossed my mind was, right, he's already lining up Kylo's replacement, and this is just the Sith thing.
Yeah, this is kind of he's kind of got the same bad habits.
Or good habits.
I don't think none of that is mistakes on Palpatine's part.
No,
I think he does it all because he likes to see the world self-destruct. And if he did it quickly, it'd be like, oh, who shall I destroy now? Or what lengths shall I go to become evil now?
It's got a bit of an own goal, really.
Exactly.
Yeah. All right, thanks for that, Andrew. That's awesome. We'll watch that Snoke's career with great interest.
Yes, thanks, Andrew. Great question.
Okay, we got a message from Ads. I really like this one. This came in as a message over Twitter.
Okay.
He's put, "Hey chaps, hope all is well with everyone. My two lads are both Star Wars obsessed. Darn, winky face. And the 6-year-old loves the films, but has a real liking for Revenge of the Sith. Rob is from your camp. We were watching it earlier and discussing the scene where Palpatino, pause for that, and Anakin, and the story about Darth Plagueis the Wise. It got me thinking about this quote. Darth Plagueis was a Dark Lord of the Sith, so powerful and so wise he could use the Force to influence the midichlorians to create life. He had such a knowledge of the dark side, he could even keep the ones he cared about from dying. So Ads has put, I wonder who Plagueis cared about enough to save from dying. Suggests he definitely saved someone. Do we already know the person, perhaps? Lots of fans theorised previously about how Snoke is Plagueis, but perhaps instead Snoke was brought back from death by Plagueis, hence his scars. If not Snoke, then someone connected to Plagueis has been saved, in my opinion. As a post note, I haven't yet had the opportunity to read any of the books, so my knowledge extends only to the films. Would love, as always, to hear your esteemed thoughts. That's high praise. Thank you, Ads.
Yes, thank you, mate. So, hope you're up and about again after your
I think he's doing well.
Foray. Yeah, I think so. Could
Snoke be one? Could Snoke be the one Plagueis was attempting to save? We'll get to my notes on that in a second, but what do we think to that point?
That's quite interesting.
I always interpreted that as a lie, that whole statement. I always interpreted it as Palpatine deliberately saying things that he knew Anakin would respond to that Anakin didn't know he knew. Because obviously Anakin doesn't know at any point at this stage that Sidious and Palpatine are the same person. So he's kind of baiting him in by saying, he even learned how to save Padme. I mean, a random person, nobody at all in particular.
Actually, I like where you're going with that, but I would replace Padme with Shmi.
Oh, yeah, even
if you look at the big picture, I would say Palpatine had more to do with Shmi's kidnap at the hands of the Tusken Raiders than we understand at this point.
Oh, okay.
And if he manipulated that event so that she would die and it would push Anakin a little bit closer to the darkness, and then he says, so if you think of it in a big picture, he has Shmi killed, and then says to Anakin, there's a way you can stop that stuff from happening, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Because I've got all this voodoo, so we can do some of this stuff and save you from having to lose anybody else.
And we know it's all crap, because as soon as he turns, Sidious turns around and says, if we work together, we can discover the secret. And if I were Anakin, I'd go, hang on, I thought you said you knew the secret.
Yeah.
That's the only reason I took this job.
But I still think it's so, I think this is a valid reading of it, Rob, that, I suspect that when you look at big picture, he's had someone close to Anakin killed, so he can then say to Anakin, look, I've got skills that will stop that from happening again. And that's the deal sealed between the two. Exactly. But I also think this is such a specific example. I've never read Lords of the Sith. I think there might be some more in that. I'm not even sure if that's canon.
Lords of the Sith is canon, yeah.
So there's probably some more in there about Plagueis, but I suspect that it's such a specific example in episode 3 that there's probably got to be something more to it. Paul, what's your take on it?
I really don't have one, to be honest. This is all quite new and fresh to me.
Yeah.
But I mean, if the story that he gave Anakin does have anything based on it, I like the idea of Snoke coming from that direction. Because talk about owe your honor to the dark side.
Well, if you've been brought back to life by it.
If you've been brought back by that kind of force, you're going to be like, I owe that a big one. So,
oh my!
And look at him; he could have a big one.
Oh my!
You know, he's only about 3 inches tall in reality.
Oh my!
Steve, with all this big one talk, have you got anything on this?
Speaking of big ones, Steve,
yeah. Sorry, I had cat issues and internet issues. I've moved to another room, and they're still a pain in the bum.
Well, you have so many cats.
I know, it's a nightmare. Is it impossible that Pacino could be the one who got resurrected? Because it also might account for why he's that powerful. Maybe it rubs off on you when you're brought back from. And
then ironically went and killed Plagueis anyway.
God, Steve, you should never underestimate your ability to throw a massive curveball that just opens the mind. That's amazing. What if that's the case? What if Sidious is referring to himself and he's the one that's Plagueis brought back from death?
Exactamundo.
Oh, I never thought about that, but that's interesting.
If he brought him back from death and then he was like, right, okay, now I'll kill you, even though you brought me back.
Yeah, because he kills him in his sleep, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, but he says, I say, it's this is why I think it's all kind of a work of Anakin, because he says, unfortunately, he taught his apprentice everything he knows. So he's basically kind of seeding it that the person who killed Plagueis knows everything Plagueis knew about that skill.
Yeah.
Like I say, he's definitely choosing his words very carefully to hook Anakin in by using a specific example.
Yeah, that's definitely the way I see it, Rob. But it doesn't mean that the example he's using contains no truth. I mean,
absolutely.
There is a chance that it's being tailored to suit what he's telling Anakin what he wants to hear. To be sure, it doesn't mean that there's not at least a little truth to it.
That's very true.
I made some notes on the bottom of Ad's question because it got my mind racing. The way Steve's comments just got my mind racing now, which probably goes somewhere else with later. But my notes said, could Snoke be an apprentice of Plagueis that was played off against Sidious the way Sidious played Anakin off against Dooku? So is it possible that Plagueis was playing the Sith game where he had two apprentices in different places at the same time?
That's interesting. So he's kind of, so basically Sidious goes on assuming he's survived, that he's the only one who survived, and actually Snoke is kind of wounded and off in the background healing up. I'm going to come back and I'm going to have him.
Yes.
So
it would
you're only supposed to have one, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So always two there are.
But, a smart Sith Lord, like we've already seen Palpatino, he does this. He doesn't, he plays the rules, but he bends them. So, he has one primary apprentice, but he's always got someone that he's working up in the background. Like he had Maul, but all the while he had Dooku on the line. And then when Maul went, he just cycled Dooku into position. Then he started working on Anakin.
Yeah.
And he knew that when he pit them against each other on Grievous's ship in Revenge of the Sith, he knew the strongest one would win and he would become his primary. And then he repeats the same thing in Jedi when he brings Luke in. It's like, right, you two fight and I'll keep the winner. Yeah. So to the victor go the spoils, right? And they go in the shape of a powerful Sith apprentice. The example I'm kind of thinking of would be the equivalent of Anakin taking out Dooku on Grievous's ship, and then Palpatine saying, "Good boy, right? You're now my apprentice." But having Dooku whisked off to have new hands and a new head put on. Yeah, I know that's not that's not a thing, but that's the equivalent. So maybe Sidious, maybe Plagueis did this. He set Sidious against Snoke. Sidious got the better of Snoke. Plagueis then brought Snoke back to life. That's the story we're hearing about. And then Sidious took out Plagueis, and Snoke went off and licked his wounds in the shadows for a couple of decades. Could be a thing.
Yeah, why not?
Alternatively, in the course of bringing Snoke back to life, Plagueis realised that his major apprentice wasn't what he thought he might be. The castaway. Sidious comes into the line. Snoke's got a very big revenge pill down his throat all of a sudden.
Yeah. There's a speeder bike.
There's a speeder bike.
Can't take me away. Sorry.
I was wondering we might get away without hearing one, but sadly not.
Never mind. That's not too bad.
That could throw so many little tangents in. That you could talk about this all night, couldn't you? Really?
Yeah. There's a lot there there's a lot there to break down, isn't there? And I think with Steve's little point as well, that really changes the way I look at Palpatine.
I reckon maybe he brought Sidious back to life, who took revenge on Snoke, becoming the apprentice. He cast Snoke away. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, you can start wandering down different paths with it, but I think some of the principles need to remain in place. And I'd say Plagueis definitely needs to be the guy that teaches. Maybe he made the mistake of teaching his apprentice everything he knew rather than teaching them everything they know.
Right.
We don't actually have a concrete quote as to who Sidious was the apprentice to, though, do we?
Yeah, we do.
It's Plagueis.
Yeah, it was definitely Plagueis.
Yeah, that's definitely Plagueis. I know that much about
that's in new canon as well. Yeah. I checked, by the way, Mark. Lords of the Sith is proper canon.
Okay, thank you for that. Yeah, I think that might be something that we'll have to come back to at some point, and maybe I'll read Lords of the Sith, so I'm a little bit
I need to read that at some point as well. Let's do like a little Talk Star Wars book club.
Yeah, let's do that.
Yeah, we'll
put stickers on the books.
When we finish the books, we'll
reach under your seat, everybody. You've got a copy of Lords of the Sith just under your seat.
And you get a convertible.
I'm like the white male Oprah.
That's what I was doing. You get a car, and you get a car, and they're all covered in bees.
Okay, thank you for that. Raise the bar once again. We're going to come back to that later on, I think, when we've given it a bit more thought. Pondered it a little bit more. Quick one from Cold War Veteran on Instagram. Awesome. They said, "Hi guys, hope you're well. Love the movie idea on After Dark Side podcast. That was our hindsight script ball.
It's a good episode.
Oh, nice. Thank you.
Inspiring. So thank you for that. But they also go on to say, anyway, something has been bothering me about The Force Awakens since I saw it on opening night. It's the Han Solo death scene. Steve, you got someone on your side here, I think. I enjoyed Ford's performance up until that point. His face and general performance of that scene looked like a hammy rehearsal. I don't know if it's just me, but it always takes me out of the movie. Abrams should have made him do it again, in my honest opinion. As I say, maybe it's just me. Keep up the good work. What do we think? Did Ford overplay that?
Yeah, I don't think it was particularly well handled.
No?
To be honest, I thought Driver was fantastic in that scene. I think he deserved to push Dad off the bridge for the bad acting, actually, because he just stole it from him, sort of thing. So
you really think that was that bad?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I didn't. Yeah, sorry.
Do you not think it could be? Because I think it depends. It could need to be recontextualized by information we get later on. Now, I heard somebody talking about this the other day. Now, where was it? I want to be able to give somebody some credit for this idea because it did have me thinking. I'll tell you what it was. It was Jeremy on an earlier episode of this show because I've been going back through the earlier episodes, picking out little bits and pieces for a little project that's coming up. And Jeremy said, and this just my eyes just bolted open. He said he thought that Ford's or Solo's objective may have been to be like Snape.
Okay.
And that he may have needed to sacrifice himself in order to cover up for the fact that Ben is doing the good work. Do you know what I mean? So if Ben's deep undercover with Snoke, he has to kill Han in order to achieve his objective. Did Han sacrifice himself in that way?
Unknowingly or otherwise?
Knowingly and willingly.
See what you mean.
So that Kylo, or so that Ben wasn't exposed as an infiltrator and then would certainly be killed himself.
All this Harry Potter stuff just makes me uneasy.
It's way out there. I mean, when I heard Jeremy say it, I thought, oh, that's amazing. I hadn't heard
that theory before, maybe even from Jeremy as well.
Yeah.
But no, all these comparisons to Harry Potter, where things, the object chooses the person, and there's somebody who's kind of having to do bad things, but it's okay because in the end you're going to find out they're doing it for good reasons and stuff, and it all just comes across a little bit. What's the word? Contrived. Yeah, just a little bit kind of done to death. Kind of, how sometimes when they do a plot line in a film,
yeah,
for the next few years, you get that same plot line expressed in different ways in every bloody film of the same genre.
Yeah.
The kind of thing I mean. That's my worry. Is it's going to be like that, where we're going to just get a Harry Potter kind of thing. It's like, oh well, Snoke's got 7 magical Force cruxes, and they keep part of his soul in each one. That
Force
sort of thing.
Cruxes, that's brilliant.
Are we answering Cold War veterans' third comment at the moment, by any chance?
This is the second.
Yes, that's
second one of the second. So it's the third comment.
Yes, yeah. Because I again lost the connection for a sec, but
okay.
I don't know if you've already covered it, but I too know exactly what you mean. But I felt that scene was totally out of place. I agree with Cold War there, and the reason I think it's out of place because it was completely manufactured for.
You think it was manufactured, Steve? I think we've lost Steve again, haven't we?
Steve,
no, he's there. Was he?
He's gone.
All right. What I'll do is I'll bring him back in and we can circle back round to that point if we get a second. But we've got a message from James at Tumbling Saber. Paul, did you want to take that?
Hang on a minute. I'm just trying to see where Steve was for a minute and textually.
The verbal Picasso himself.
From James. Okay, I really enjoyed your show this week. Thank you very much, sir. It left me thinking. Didn't you hate that? If your hunch about Krennic is right, yeah. Do you think?
At what point did you lose me then? Sorry.
You said hi. My name's Steve.
Oh, okay.
And I'm naked.
I'm Stephen.
Do you want to do a quick rewind? You were saying about how the scene might have been manufactured, Steve. I've only done a sentence, so we can.
That's where we got to.
No, that's all right. I don't know. Well, it fit. Yeah, I'll start again because I don't know where I got to.
Okay.
It felt to me that it was manufactured for Harrison Ford, so that he could get out of the film. It didn't fit in the film. It felt like you removed from the film for a minute. Right, let's give Harrison Ford what he wants.
Yeah.
Okay, now we've got to build the film around that because it is quite a big thing or the huge thing. Okay, so it kind of takes us into a weird place, but we've got to deal with it because that's what Harrison Ford wanted when he signed up. And it all just didn't gel for me.
I take that on board to a degree, but that said, I still think the way the context they used for it was brilliant because, like I say, for me, Adam Driver, that was a key part for Kylo Ren.
Yeah.
And because of that, I did like the way they did it. I just didn't like the way Harrison Ford, unfortunately, did it.
Yeah.
But for me, that's one of my favourite scenes, actually. Adam Driver doing that. It's one of my favourite scenes.
Yeah,
he made it work.
Yeah, so full of little micro performances.
Big time.
Yeah. I still think that maybe Harrison's performance we might view it differently if they recontextualise that scene later on in the narrative. And there's information we don't have yet that will make us look back on that differently. I'm not sure if that's the case. I would be disappointed if they went so far as to say Han let himself be killed because I like what we see at the moment, taking it at face value.
He looked quite shocked by it.
He looked really shocked, and Kylo went about as evil as you can go because he stopped and stared right into his father's eyes.
Yeah, well, he was cold, wasn't he? He was unbearably cold.
That's such a gut punch to be watching that, and to see him savour every moment of watching his father die.
Yeah, and when he just says, "Thank you."
Yeah,
it's just like, oh, you little.
That is punishing stuff.
He made Lecter look like a.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I think
you might want to bleep off. You might want to. Oh, really? Okay.
All right, I'll tell you what.
You might be all right. I'm not sure.
He's all right. I've got 4 of them here.
I always go by what you can say on The Simpsons.
Okay, we're moving on. Should we let's jump over. We did start, but let's jump over to James's.
Let's try again.
Yeah,
okay.
So the verbal Picasso has opened communications.
Yeah, right. And again, right. I really enjoyed your show this week. Again, thank you very much. Left me thinking. If your hunch about Krennic is right, do you think maybe he suggested testing the Death Star on Jeddah himself to show how dark and committed he is? Brilliant stuff, man.
Yeah, well, I think that's amazing.
It is pretty cool. There was that whole discussion was great, just the whole idea, and they took it. The Tumbling Saber guys did a bit, and they took it in a good direction as well, in a similar vein, because James kind of fleshed out this thought.
Yeah.
On their show, they sounded amazing this week as well.
They did. It was a good show this week.
Yeah, really good. As you know, the quality you've come to expect from the Star Wars Commonwealth.
Indeed.
Yeah. But yeah, it was good. They kind of went into a lot more depth on this. I have to steer clear of Krennic stuff because this man crush intensifies.
Yeah.
It's really getting worse.
You don't want to spoil anything for yourself, do
you? Trousers.
I said spoil, not soil.
Oh.
I think there might be some.
I think both would happen.
I think there might be something to this, actually, that, the idea of Krennic, if he is from Jeddah, sacrificing it and making a big to-do of it, will really buy him some points with Palpatine. But to take it one step further, I think that also shows that Krennic doesn't really understand the man he's dealing with Palpatine, does he? If he thinks he really and if he thinks there are any good graces to be gotten, he's gravely mistaken, I think.
Yeah. What are you going to do tomorrow?
Yeah.
You what? I've just blown up the years. And
Connor's,
that was pretty cool.
Connor's question when we get to it is largely built around Krennic and could be seen as a natural extension of James's question. We've lost Steve again. Okay, I'll tell you what we're going to do. Yeah. We're going to go to a quick break and we're going to hear from the guys over at Tumbling Saber. We should just say, because I didn't mention it at the top of the show, this week we officially launched the Star Wars Commonwealth Podcast Network. It's all set up in iTunes. I'm going to be polishing things up a little bit, putting a few bells and whistles in there once they give me the green light. But you can now find everything we do all gathered together in one spot. It's awesome, isn't it? It started off as a joke on Twitter, and now it's a real thing that we're actually united with. We've got more podcasts than we originally anticipated in that by having Gen X-Wing. Yeah. Just it's just great. It's awesome. Great stuff. We're already supporting each other, and it's already starting to travel. We've put mechanisms in place behind the scenes that help us get the word out about what we're doing. Exactly. And one of those is at the bottom of the show notes. So if you head over to the view the full description of this podcast on whatever device you're listening to it on, and you can download a PDF of our show notes that we're using for this show. And at the bottom of that, you will see the Star Wars Commonwealth banner, and underneath that you'll see the links to all the interesting parties. So you'll see a link to Tumbling Saber, and you'll see a link to Generation X-Wing, but also you'll see the network link. So if you click on the network link, it will take you straight to the iTunes store. If you go to the Twitter account, we've got a link to Facebook. There's all sorts of stuff. We've got a nice little network built up around it. So get involved and have a look at everything. Give us your feedback. Let us know what you'd like to see if you want to see anything changed. But I advise that you at least check out those other two shows because they are superb and well worth your time. Right. Yes. I'm going to go and get Steve. We're an alliance. Yay. We are an alliance of not so rebellious podcasters. Right, let's throw to this quick break where you can hear from one of the members of the Star Wars Commonwealth, Tumbling Saber, and when we come back, we'll go straight to Connor's Corner. I'm going to go and get Steve. All right.
Yo, Tumbling Saberers.
What's up? My brother.
I got this great idea for a promo. Check it. Now, here's a little story I like to tell about three podcasters you know so well. We talk about a galaxy far away with Anakin, Luke, and his daughter Rey.
Whoa, James, there. Pump the brakes a bit. We don't know that yet. I mean, it's a leading theory and all, but there are certainly other possibilities. She could be a Kenobi, or a Solo, or even a child of the Force.
Or Kylo Ren's sister? They had a loyal droid named 3PO, got him and R2 from the Sand People. The droids were on the lam on a planet full of sand. Sand people picked them up because droids are in demand.
James, I totally dig this, but make sure people know that we talk about more than just the saga movies. I mean, we dive into Rebels, theories, literature, comics, conventions. We cover anything and everything from the GFFA.
Okay, but... One lonely Jedi Luke B, all by himself with just Kenobi. The suns were beaten down like the Empire's grasp. Had to get off Tatooine and they had to get off fast. Looking for a girl, they ran into a guy. His name was Han Solo. They said howdy, he said hi.
Dude, we're almost out of time. You can't wrap out the entire plot of all 7 movies.
Actually, bro, the song predicts the entire saga through its completion.
Does it even mention our patented random thought segment? Or our sports tangents? Or our listener interactions? Oh, never mind, James. Just skip to the end, will ya?
In episode 30 on a sphere that's cold.
Subscribe to the Tumbling Saber podcast on iTunes and Stitcher.
Join the mailing list and read our blogs at tumblingsaber.com.
You can also find us on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram.
Join our growing community.
And become part of the Star Wars Commonwealth.
And we're back. So as you've just heard, you can catch the fine folks part 1 of the Star Wars Commonwealth on Tumbling Saber, one of our Canadian correspondents. And now, as is customary after the introduction of the Tumbling Saber guys, it's time for Connor's Corner featuring Leo. Small round of applause.
Yay. Golf clap.
So Connor writes, well, gents, here we are again. 1 week closer to the release of Rogue One, and must have watched that new trailer 20 times at least, trying to glean as much of it from it as I can. Blimey, he's done better than I have. The more I watch it, the more I want it, and it's more grown-up approach to this universe we grew up with. I know the anthology films have had mature, darker moments, killing younglings, etc., but there is no mistake we're in for a darker movie here. Agreed. So the last couple of shows, we've heard you guys talk about who's making it out alive in this film. It is a war film, after all. There will be face fallacies on both sides, no doubt. Will Saw make it? Will Jin die? Etc., etc. K2SO will escape on the shuttle with the plans. Marc's Tidarium theory, still my favourite.
Yay.
We're always talking about the rogues' deaths. But what of the death of director Krennic? He must be killed in this film, as you've said yourself, Marc. Krennic, is trying to curry favour from the Emperor, and Lord Vader will not let this happen. Will it be a case of you, Krennic, were in charge of this weapon, the Death Star, and you let the plans get stolen by these rebels? Will this be Vader's big scene in the third act? Krennic being all cocky with Vader. You don't scare me. Beneath that mask, you're just a man like me, or something along those lines. And the Dark Lord taking Krennic's life. Our first real introduction to Vader, when you put Rogue One in the timeline, of course, shows he's willing to kill his own people as well as his enemies, and that nothing will get in the way of the new Empire, and nicely foreshadowing him during the Chokey thing, dark side power. I think we've established that the proper canon name is Force Crushy Throat.
Yeah, the crushy throat thing.
Yep. On the general in front of Tarkin. Make no mistake, he'd kill you. Oh, charming. And doesn't care who's watching. We've seen him do it, remember Krennic. I hope this sparks off a nice debate on the show. We love hearing you guys adding your spin on this. So once again, thank you for all the hard work you put into the show each week. I love seeing on my iPod that a new episode is downloading. May the Force be with us all. Long live the Commonwealth. Connor and Leo, sent by Holocron.
Thank you, fine gentleman, you.
Yes, indeed. Thank you very, very much
Wonderful.
for that.
Thank you.
So the question is, how do we think?
Big one?
Yeah, how does Krennic gonna kick the bucket?
Yeah. Do we want to go through Connor's thing a little bit here as well about just look at a couple of points? Like, is Krennic... Will Vader catch him out, do you think? Will he see through his plan to sort of end up in the Emperor's good graces? I know we said earlier there probably aren't that many good graces to be had, but do you think Vader's going to see through that?
Yeah, I think so. I think definitely it's going to be Vader who's going to be responsible for it, whatever form it takes. Just because he's going to resent anybody trying to kind of cuddle up to his bow.
Does it not concern you though that when we meet Vader, he's not really the Emperor's number one guy, is he? Tarkin is.
Yeah, well, this is it. I mean, obviously Vader's already kind of feeling the heat in that respect.
Why isn't he? Well, he's the apprentice still.
Yeah, but he's also. I mean, by this point, you could. Palpatine could be forgiven for sort of dialing back on the whole Sith thing. Now he's got power, he's consolidated power. He could probably say, I don't necessarily need Anakin anymore. So you are now, you know what Leia's line was, I should have expected to find you holding Vader's leash.
He will always want a powerful ally in the Force.
perhaps just on the back burner.
Well, front burner.
But he's definitely falling in with the politicos, though, isn't he?
Yeah, but he's doing that for he's only doing that for his own airs and graces. As far as getting things built and building your empire is all about politics and finances and everything, isn't it?
They're doing it within the Senate at this point in time, aren't they?
Absolutely. Yeah. I've got a reasonable hypothesis for how Krennic might be.
These are always classic.
Yeah, go on, hit us with it.
I think. I mean, we've got this thing bubbling that he may well blow up his home planet first.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to be expecting it, but he's going to be on it when it happens.
Well, we do see him on the planet, don't we?
Yeah, that's what's going to keep playing up.
So, is it going to be like a Carry On Star Wars type thing where Vader kind of goes, "Oh, whoopsie me, I've just bent over and hit the fire button"?
It's going to be very cold and calculated.
Do you think?
Yeah, and it won't be Vader.
I kind of like my version better.
It'll be the little Death Star droids we always saw before. You know, the little teeny weeny ones with the very alien type helmets and things. Yeah.
Oh, right.
No, mouse droid was.
Yeah, that's the one. Yeah. When you said really tiny, that's the one I went for.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. You know the little guys that pull the levers.
Yeah.
Yeah. That used to. Did you ever find that? Did you ever watch it on a CRT?
Yes.
Because it used to make mine vibrate.
Oh, did it? That
low TV itself used to vibrate.
I've still got a CRT.
Because it was low frequency emission.
Yeah. It was great. It used to know when it was coming in the film because you just see you'd feel the TV go.
You know, we've seen one.
Ronnie Mum's China ornaments would fall off the end of the TV.
Oh, she learned that lesson after the first time we watched it.
You know, we see one featured Death Star gunner, don't you, in the trailer?
Yes.
And that's Jin in that disguise.
Oh. Really?
So Jin's in that disguise, right?
To that. Oh, okay.
Could well be that she's.
Oh, that's even funnier.
That's cool. That'd be great if she's done something.
Fire to destroy wherever Krennic is? I mean, it doesn't have to be a planet surface, does it?
That's true, yeah. Doesn't have to be.
Could be a Star Destroyer.
Have we ever... I can't recall. Have we ever seen them use it on something other than a planet?
Yeah.
Death Star.
In Jedi. We saw Death Star 2 do it in...
Yeah, they opened
Jedi.
up on
yeah, it did. Yeah,
a
medical frigate and things like that, wasn't it? Yeah. I guess they have velocities of beam.
Yeah, but it's certainly not the power that they opened up an order on, is it?
No.
I think they're going to lean on that a little bit, you know, about how much they open this thing up. Well, let's just give it 30%. Let's see what happens. And then that will take out the city of Jeddah and perhaps destroy the atmosphere of Jeddah. And that's what, if we were to read the trailer as we see it, and we discount any creative editing, if we're seeing the U-Wing flying through the potential destruction of Jeddah's surface, and then they jump to hyperspace, that could be Krennic thinking, well, I just need to crush the rebels, or Vader even. Maybe Krennic's on the planet when that happens, and Vader's the one saying fire, and it destroys Jeddah.
Yeah,
and then Jin and Cassian just manage to escape to do that, to get to the final act. Vader's got to kill Krennic though, right? The bottom line.
I think so. I think
indirectly at least. Yes.
He has to be responsible for the death of Krennic.
Yeah, and he's going out in this movie, isn't he, Krennic?
Yeah, I think so. Or he could be.
No reason to suggest he doesn't, is there?
There's no reason to suggest he has to. Well, does he have to die to do that?
Well, he's had. I mean, if he's that big,
exiled to deep space.
He's that big a character in this movie. He would have been mentioned else. Well, it's not going to work,
doesn't it? If they
otherwise.
No, I can see what you're saying, but I mean, there are ways to kind of take him out of the story without killing him off, or at least killing him kind of consciously on screen. If he's kind of left to his own devices in sort of the unknown space, like Thrawn was in the original Legends.
Yes, I was going to get to that actually. I was going to ask you that if we could see Krennic's fate be the Thrawn fate that we're used to.
Maybe, yeah. I mean, it's slightly different, obviously, because he starts in the core, but then works his way out, whereas Thrawn kind of starts his way out and works in. But I mean, they could certainly go down that route of like re-establish that it's a punishment of sorts to be sort of exiled out there and given some dead end job, you know, manning the spice mines of Kessel, for example.
Yeah,
that sort of thing. So there's no, there are means to take him out of the story forever without killing him actively. But then I think he probably will die.
Yeah, I think he probably will. But I wonder now, as we're talking about this, it just occurred to me that maybe there's a chance they'll set up somebody to replace him to develop Death Star 2. Or unless Krennic doesn't go in this film, but Vader does some jiggery pokery and gets him...
He exiles him to Death Star 2.
Exiles him to Death Star 2. And that needs to... And maybe the Emperor says, get yourself over there. This now works. Tarkin, here's the keys. This is now your thing. Don't turn it out to 11 because you'll blow something up. And then Krennic, you've been such a naughty boy losing the plans. Get yourself over to wherever they're building Death Star 2. Presumably Endor, I don't know. Get yourself over there. Make sure that thing's done by the time we get to the third film. And then it gives us... If they do come back and make another Rogue movie, gives us an opportunity to bring Krennic back in, doesn't it?
Yeah. Could be
the thing. Okay, I like that.
I'm wondering how much of a time jump we're going to get in Rogue One to the point where we even hear about the destruction of the Death Star in the film.
I don't think we will, mate. I think it's going to...
I think there's too large a span of time, isn't there?
I think it's widely accepted now that this film will end just moments before A New Hope.
I'll tell you what. Then you won't have a crawl in the beginning. You might have one at the end. Yeah.
Oh, do you think? Yeah, I guess we could.
That would be really cool if they just ended it with the opening crawl from A New Hope instead of it. That'd be kind of...
Nobody'd leave. There'll be
or in a Family Guy,
watch it.
In a Family Guy kind of way. If you got the blockade runner and then someone says, "Princess Leia, we've got these big yellow letters floating up in front of."
Yeah, exactly.
All power to front deflector shields. Don't hit the letters.
They're in bold, evasive maneuvers.
But they're in a slightly different font to The Force Awakens. People are going to lose their minds.
They've switched to italics. They're cunning. They're more cunning than we thought.
Why is this in uppercase? All right. Connor and Leo, thank you very much for your question. Let's jump onto our...
Or food for thought.
Twitter polls. That is... good food for thought. I think that's the way that's going to end, though, right? It's going to go straight to that blockade runner, and we'll all be left hanging, thinking.
Yeah, I kind of want that to happen.
Let's go home and watch the DVDs. Okay, Twitter poll questions. The poll is now closed.
All right.
So this week's Twitter poll question was: polls. If you could fly any Star Wars vehicle, what would it be? And you had four options: the Millennium Falcon, a TIE Fighter, an X-Wing, or Slave One.
All right.
This was by far our most successful poll.
I believe it.
Over 3,000 people.
Things like this are good because everybody I think every Star Wars fan has an opinion on this.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, people seem to love this. There's been quite a few retweets and comments.
So that's awesome.
Let's just get to some of those. Okay. All right, the result, first of all, this has gone to over 3,000 people. 51% of people that voted said the Millennium Falcon. So there we have a clear winner.
Good response.
The next popular one was the X-Wing. So I think we can safely say that the heroes have the coolest rides in Star Wars.
Yep, that's well established.
Oh, that was a really loud...
Okay.
Is that a clown again?
That was a really loud clown noise. Sorry about that. Right. We have a couple of comments. So we've got a message. Yeah.
On last week's podcast, you said, I'm not going to vote yet because I've got a very distinct idea what you want to do. And you made it look like there's a lot of depth to how you felt about this question. So I'm wondering if you're going to release that kind of information now.
Well, I will release that information, Paul. I don't want to because now I'm going to feel like a fool, but I thank you for putting me in this horrible position. I was going to back the ship that got 8% of the votes, Slave One.
I was Slave One.
I love Slave One.
Yeah, the trouble is with Slave One is it's an in-atmosphere ship as well, and it's not aerodynamic.
It's not an in-atmosphere ship, Steve.
It was on Bespin.
Yeah, but it's space. It's a space.
I know it flies in space, but it also goes in atmosphere.
Right? But all of these in the options do.
It does look like a shoe, though, doesn't it?
It's awesome. I love it.
It's a flying shoe. It's a clog.
Slave One rocks. Anyway,
it's a clock.
Yes,
Mark, great minds think alike.
Yeah, well, we may have been the 8% there, Paul.
Cool.
We did have a couple of comments here. So I got a message straight away, like minutes after the poll posted, from Houndstooth blog, who I think it's Boxerless Bosk, who
Houndstooth is Bosk, yeah.
Yeah. But the blogger Boxerless Bosk runs Houndstooth blog. And he sent me a message saying, I can't even say it once, Steve. He put, forgotten any ships, maybe, meaning that we should have brought up the Houndstooth as Bosk's ship. So apologies for the oversight. We only have 4 options.
I don't think you see the Houndstooth in canon.
You don't see it on screen.
That's the trouble.
Well, you might see it in maybe Rebels or something, but you don't. You certainly don't see it in the movies.
No.
I'd probably still have chosen Slave One over that. Randomitable says Slave One, no contest. 2 words, seismic charges. I mean, that's just one of the cool things.
That's true. Yeah. That is true.
That is
just for the noise, man.
There's no noise in space. Sorry, I ruined it, didn't I?
There was no noise in that thing either.
It was. It went.
And then Debbie and Mark at Blue Harvest UK, our sponsors, our illustrious sponsors, say the Falcon requires a co-pilot. I like to be in control of my own craft, so an X-wing for me.
Okay, interesting.
I guess that's a pretty good reason. Okay, so we're ready for this week's. I miscredited this question in the show notes, so apologies.
Okay.
This is Paul's.
Right.
Are you going with that? I thought you might go with the other one, but there you go. Keep the other one. The other one was kind of cool.
I would go with the other one, but I've already written this one, so this is just purely a logistical choice at this stage.
This may end up becoming a regular segment. It's Paul's polls.
Paul's polls. Twitter polls.
It's never been called
Twitter polls. Yeah,
Twitter polls. There you go. I'll just make a spell correction in there.
The other one.
So this week's question.
The other one. Nice.
We are going to do the music one at some point. I've got an idea for a mechanic for that.
All right. Well, as long as
you're going to put me and Rob in a ring and cover us in Jello and ice cream.
Yeah.
Sorry, that's a fantasy.
Whatever works, mate.
That's just a Saturday. All right. Next week's Twitter poll question: if you could fire any weapon in the Star Wars universe, which would you choose? Chewie's crossbow, Starkiller / Death Star, so one of those giant super weapons.
Okay.
The Hoth laser or the ion cannon, or a Jawa stun gun.
There's an interesting question of scale here, isn't there?
That's not accidental.
Jawa stun gun to a supersized Death Star planet destroying weapon, yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, actually, solar system destroying in Starkiller's case.
Yeah.
There's seriously a method in the madness. I'm not going to say anything.
I believe
a method in the madness, so.
Right.
Yeah. Are you trying to get a psychological kind of...
Yeah, absolutely. This is complete profiling for all of that.
Well, as with last week's question, I have a very clear answer, and perhaps we can circle back to that next week when that answer's been chosen by another handful of people and I come off looking very terrible.
I wanted Leia's gun. I like Leia's gun. I know it's girly.
Do we actually see it fire? We do see it fire, don't we?
I like Hand's DL-44.
Yeah,
that's the obvious one.
But that weapon and Luke's weapon are kind of... you wouldn't. Everyone's going to choose them, aren't they? You need to exclude that from the poll.
You need to exclude it. This is true.
Just to make it interesting.
Leia uses, just out of interest, a Sorosub Corporation X30 Lancer target blast pistol.
Steve,
or something.
We all know that.
Yeah, obviously.
Why are you just telling it? Yeah. You can't teach us how to suck eggs, dude.
The hell with casuals.
Right, we've already got the votes are already coming in, and there's a clear leader. So.
Oh, hang on.
Pin to
this
our profile.
Is where I try and attempt to use Twitter, isn't it?
Pin to our profile. Go and have fun with that. Right, we're going to go to another very quick break, and we're going to hear from our other partners at Star Wars Commonwealth, the guys at Generation X-Wing, and then when we come back, we're going to jump into some Star Wars news.
There are a lot of great Star Wars podcasts out there, including...
Insert your name here.
But we at the Generation X-Wing podcast discuss things in a unique way.
I'm so happy I can't even feel my arms!
Generation X-Wing podcast takes a look back at pop culture that defines our generation.
Look, sir, droids.
From movies.
I think I read somewhere that Kurt Russell thought that, this is really like Indiana Jones. But to me, watching it just fresh today, he was really Han Solo.
To TV.
There's a Nova Scotia show
what's
we could bring up.
What is that?
Trailer Park Boys.
Oh, okay. It's not Trailer Park Boys.
You know what? I think that's a whole episode.
It is. I'm just going to say it's very Canadian.
Okay.
And I love it to death. So does Anil.
From collecting...
Silent Mike is back.
Silent Mike is back with batteries.
1970. Oh,
and the Twix?
And he just dropped it on Wayne Gretzky's rookie card.
Got a case of Twix.
Good man.
This better be a good Twix.
And of course, we discuss our wonderful Star Wars universe.
I am so thrilled today because I have been invited by the Outer Rim Garrison, the 501st, Outer Rim Garrison of Vancouver, BC, to walk with them in the Canada Day Parade in downtown Vancouver.
So once you're done listening to these great people here at
Insert your name here.
come over to the Generation X-Wing podcast with your hosts, Anil Sharma.
That is gonna be a shame.
Josh Whittle. Peace. And Rob Williams.
Pork chop sandwiches.
It is a modern look at your retro lifestyle. Follow us on Twitter at Gen X Wing, on Facebook, on Instagram, and of course on our homepage at generationxwing.com.
Okay, and we're back. So that was the guys at Generation X-Wing. Don't forget to check them out. There's links in the show notes.
Yes.
Right, we're going to get over to some Star Wars news then. Some stuff's come out from Rogue One, predictably again this week. So we've got some images. 3 new Rogue One images hit this week. Click on that link and open it. We should be able to see those.
Okay.
Did you guys see these when they hit?
Saw one of them.
I didn't see them when they... Oh, hang on. What are they?
They are scrolling through on talkstarwars.co.uk.
I've seen one of them.
So we've got... Yeah. Steve, can you see these?
I'm just going in now. I have got the slowest connection in the world at the moment.
Okay, so we've got an image of Jyn.
You lived in my old house, Steve.
And her binders.
Up his ass.
Do you think this might be...
Context.
Do you think this image of... is it the internet connection that's slow, Steve?
I have no idea.
Or did the Jedi drop you on your head when you were a baby? So this image of Jyn, she's obviously a prisoner, and is she in the Massassi Temple there looking at that image? Is this before we see her carted in to meet Mon Mothma?
Maybe, yeah. That makes a lot of sense, actually. Just her kind of looking up as they open the cell door or whatever.
Yeah. So what has she been caught for, I wonder?
Wow.
Well,
are we going to spec? Oh, there's your poll for next week.
Oh,
what's Jyn been caught for?
Did she steal a sherbet dib dab?
Yeah, put a silly answer in, like
sherbet dib dabs.
Sherbet dib dabs.
Is it me or is Felicity Jones incredibly cute?
It's definitely not you. It's certainly her. The second image is another wicked cool shot of Krennic.
Speaking of man crush intensifies.
Isn't that awesome though? Look at that.
He's just so striking.
Death Star corridor.
He's just so striking.
I'm trying to get away from Rob's semi-sex pestery.
No, there's nothing sex pestery about it. I didn't go looking for Ben Mendelsohn on Twitter or anything like that.
Yeah.
I totally actually did. Only because I was going to follow some people from Rogue One, because I've got some people from the other films. I was going to go on a following spree for Rogue One actors. But when Ben Mendelsohn wasn't on the list, I got upset and stopped.
Yeah, well, I bagged Forrest Whitaker this week, actually.
Fair enough.
Picked him up on there, actually, but didn't see Ben Mendelsohn. But yeah, I agree with you. He is a striking individual. I'm so impressed by this guy, and I'm really looking forward to see what he does with this character. And he does look menacing in that shot, right?
He does. Like I say, he's incredibly striking. That uniform cuts an impressive profile in contrast to the other uniforms and stuff as well. That's the other thing about it.
The third picture is his troops. So behind him in that second picture are the 2 Death Troopers, right? And then the third picture is the Death Troopers, like creating all kinds of havoc on whatever planet this is.
Is that CGI? That fire?
No, I don't think so. It's probably practical. Isn't
it? Probably been padded.
Why are they doing practical effects like that? They don't need to anymore. It really annoys me as an environmentalist.
It's probably been padded, yes.
Let's be fair. Okay. If they didn't do practical effects like that, you'd be jumping up and down on them for that, wouldn't you?
No, I'd appreciate the fact that they tried.
So what do we think of these images, Em? Impressed?
Yeah.
I particularly like
impressed.
I like the fact they burnt a rainforest for a practical effect in the third one.
Yeah, I'm not so keen on the third one for that reason. I don't like that sort of stuff.
Okay.
But I do love the troopers. They look awesome.
They do have rather excessive cod pieces, though, to be honest.
They do.
What did you say?
I said cod piece face.
I said, what did you say?
Anyway.
You know Mark hates the young ones, don't you?
That's not what I said. Anyway, moving on.
You hate the young ones.
Because he's a big, girly virgin.
Very, very quickly, that third picture of the Death Troopers,
yes.
Do you think that might be from the earlier timeline? You know, we've said this is probably split. We see Jin as a young girl. Something's telling me that might be from the earlier timeline.
I don't
is
know.
This when Krennic snatches the family?
Well, from the conversation we had last week about the new book, it seems like they go along almost willingly.
Yeah, probably out of necessity more than anything else, though, right?
Well, possibly, but I mean, it doesn't strike me from that description of that blurb on the book on the back of the Catalyst book. It doesn't seem to me like they're being forced to go there. They're kind of going along because he's been offered a job opportunity. Ultimately,
yeah,
he's been offered a chance to help his friend, and the family's either gone along with him or hasn't. I mean, it's possible that they, unbeknownst to them, the Death Troopers have remained behind and torched what they were living in before, kind of burning the bridges behind them in the very literal sense.
Yeah, and any research.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe just kind of covering his tracks, as it were.
Yeah.
They've got a lot of stuff to cram in this film, haven't they?
Oh, yes.
Yeah, there's a lot in there. It's going to be...
What's the running time?
We don't know yet, mate.
I think it's probably going to be 2 hours, isn't it? Easily.
Well, Force Awakens was about 2:15, so it will most likely be up there with that, I would have thought.
Yeah. It depends. I mean, I remember having this conversation with my friends when, at the end of episode 2, I turned around to my friends and said, they've got so much stuff to cram into episode 3, but they just skipped a big chunk of it.
Do you remember the good old days when Steve's internet connection kept dropping?
I just waited for somebody to say episode 1. I'm going to vomit all over, projectile vomit over Jen.
Let the hate flow through you.
Sorry, Rob. You were rudely interrupted.
So, between episode 2 and 3, obviously, they had other expanded materials that filled in the gaps. So, there may be... It may look on paper like there's so much stuff to cover, but there's no reason why they have to cover it all. They can just use certain tricks with regards to editing in order to, make the time pass in a way that's visibly affecting it, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. I think it will be interesting because we are going to go in. Well, anybody that reads Catalyst, they're going to go in with a wealth of knowledge at the start of this film, and it might be interesting if they just hit on a couple of bits that we already know about from Catalyst, but it brings everybody else up to speed. So if that is like showing the Ursos being rescued in inverted commas, and then their homesteads being destroyed, and every attachment to their former life being eradicated. That will be an interesting and disturbing thing to see on screen, I think, even if it's just forms a small portion of the first act of the movie.
Mm-hmm.
Was it the word portion, Steve?
Small portion.
Okay. There's another link right below that one, which gives us a link to some promotional posters for Rogue One.
They're really nice.
They're really cool,
really
aren't they?
Nice. Yeah,
they're lovely. Yeah.
I don't think this is just the movie stuff. I think this is across all platforms now, right? This is the toys, so stuff from Hasbro and books.
Yeah. My Director Krennic pop vinyl.
Yeah. This there's one of the Death Trooper, which is this week's artwork.
Nice.
No. I changed the artwork. That was right.
Oh, okay, fair enough.
But it was going to be
these are lovely.
Is there a chance that Krennic could actually be good?
No, I don't think so.
I mean, that's the curveball they're throwing us.
That could be. I mean, that would be a curveball they could throw, but it would be. I mean, we haven't heard him do anything yet, have we? We've just seen him turn up looking grim.
Yeah.
So far. We haven't seen him deliver any dialogue.
Yeah, but how would you feel if you had a sore throat your whole life and had to carry strepsils around?
Yeah, true. He gets double flavours, though.
We saw him coming through the auditorium in celebration with those troops, this guy, Ben Mendelsohn, is eating this up. He loves this
stuff. He's got to be, yeah. And, I'm sure he'll be all the more popular as a character for getting into the spirit of it so much.
Yeah. And I love that he's got his own squad of troops. That's really cool. It's like he's got his own little 501st. I wonder if any 501st members will adopt this look.
The ones who didn't get their control chips out, maybe.
I mean, the real world equivalent, the 501st that do all the, Robert Gen X-Wing has been trooping with real members of the 501st, and then he's going to build his own arm. I think he wants to be, is it a scout trooper? I think he wants to be. Mm-hmm. I wonder how many of them will do this Death Trooper, because that would look wicked cool. I could probably pull that off because they're for bigger guys, aren't they? Taller guys.
Yes.
Was it the word bigger, Steve?
No, pull it off.
I underestimate you. All right, moving on. They are cool. Check them out. They're linked in the show notes. All right. This one image that popped up this week, this playing card. This one playing card appears to have caused a lot of controversy and has upset people enough that they're going to Pablo Hidalgo on Twitter and asking questions. So do you see... You can see the image on the show notes, right?
Who cares?
Do you see what the problem is?
Yes, that's not a problem, really, though, is there?
Who cares? It's not even out yet.
The problem
I'm looking for the... Is it the X-Wing?
Oh, no, police are really going to take me away for laughing.
It's the armour, Steve. Darth Vader's shoulder plate, the chest plate that goes to his shoulders. In A New Hope, he wore a little undercape that went over the top of that armour, and then by the time they got to Empire, it was under the armour.
Yep.
So you can see.
Maybe he just gets up and thinks, "Oh, I'll wear it over today."
Maybe he just got dressed in a hurry.
Yeah, I don't think it's a showstopper, is it?
Why do I always have to go and intimidate Krennic on laundry day?
Yeah, he also wore one blue sock,
though, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, here's a question, right? How do we know? Here's the one that will blow the minds of the really kind of these ones. How do we know it's the same cape? Because maybe he's in a fight and it gets damaged.
Yeah.
Yeah, or maybe he's got a whole wardrobe full of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
And there's another thing as well. If you look at, I've embedded a tweet in the show notes there from a Twitter user named Jabba John L, at Jabba John L, John Lindquist. Says, at Pablo Hidalgo, new Rogue One promo stuff shows Vader's shoulder armor over. He's in a cloak. Unlike A New Hope. Should I rent a billboard about this? That's kind of funny, actually. He's obviously showing he's got a sense of humor. Pablo says, just wait until you see it in the movie. So,
yeah,
the chances are this artwork has all been developed from existing Vader materials and not reference material from Rogue One, because perhaps reference material from Rogue One was being kept under control at this point.
Yeah,
a little bit like the first Marvel rendition of Star Wars, you mean?
Yeah.
It's a film. Sorry, I took all the stuff we do, completely ruined it, didn't I?
A little bit, yeah.
But it is a film.
You go to
it has to be
podcast jail
pinch
for
of
an
salt
episode.
stuff, doesn't it? Yeah, I know. But it's willing suspension of disbelief.
Yeah, and it's just one piece of ancillary material as well. It's not even like it is a poster for the film. We've only seen one image really of Vader, haven't we? And he had his back to us, so there's no telling what they've done.
Yeah.
To the actual
What worries me more is he's obviously got a far worse throat than Krennic, because and he's only got one standard strepsil and one like emergency strepsil.
And he's turned into Krennic and he's going, "Have you got any strep? No, I'm fresh out."
You have 12 on your chest.
That's Nicorette.
Yeah.
You have 12 on your chest. I can't do a very good Vader.
No, you can't.
Come on, Rob.
No, I'm good.
Do it in walking.
What did you want him to say? I can't remember.
You've got 12 like on your chest plate.
You got 12 tablets on your chest. There you go. And I've decided Krennic is Shatner as well. So I'm fresh up.
That's awesome.
These are only nicotine gum.
Shatner Krennic.
Okay. No, I like you walking.
Yeah, I appreciate
it. Sold on walking.
Imperial walking.
Imperial walking.
Where are you keeping the rest of those strepsils? up his ass.
Do you know, I already started writing down the time code as you started speaking then, Steve. I thought it was definitely going to be something.
We already decided ass was okay.
Ass is fine. They're donkeys.
Okay, I'm leaving it in. I'm leaving it in. You've done it to yourself. If we get complaints, there's going to be letters. All right, let's jump on to some episode 8 news, and then we're nearly done. We can get out of here. Mark Hamill let slip a little nugget about the special effects field night shoot. Well,
sorry.
This is like doing a podcast in a junior boys' school. Not that I have any. I should state for legal reasons I don't have any frame of reference.
I was going to say, even I didn't chortle at that.
Due to court order, he's not allowed.
Yeah, 50 yards is 50 yards. Mark Hamill let slip a little nugget about a special effects field night shoot at Salt Lake City Comic-Con at I think it was last weekend. Mark was talking about the interviews, talking during doing interviews for The Killing Joke, and said, the day after I started on a sequence, an elaborate special effects sequence where I'm not going to be able to do anything. I have to focus specifically on episode 8, on the episode 8 scene I'm doing. So could this be the lightsaber duel with the Knights of Ren we've heard so much about previously, that night shoot? Or what else could it be?
It could be.
Big special effects scene that Mark has to stay focused on.
It could be. We've talked about how there's a possibility they might. Yeah, I don't like the idea, but we talked about how there's a possibility they might kind of do what's called in the Force powers. I think it's only Legends now. I don't think it's proper canon anymore. It's called flow walking.
Right.
And it's actually kind of tapping into the past and walking through it as if you're there.
Oh, okay.
It's a bit like it's a bit like being in the what's it called in Harry Potter, where they're the memory thing.
The pensieve.
So it's like being in the pensieve, except I can't remember if you can. I think it's exactly the same. Actually, you can't interact with anything, but you can walk around and sort of observe it all.
Basically, they don't know you're there either. So
yeah,
because
so
you're
I think
in somebody else's memory normally.
There's a possibility they might be doing that. In which case, if it's got a lot of exposition in it, he might need to focus in order to deliver it properly. But it could also as easily be an action scene. I'm just thinking special effects makes some sense if you're kind of.
Yeah, if it's a big action scene, I wonder how much Mark will be involved. Will they switch him out for?
Yeah, it says elaborate special effects, doesn't it? So it could well be an action scene.
Yeah,
it could be anything, couldn't it?
It could.
Yeah,
but I like the idea of
Yeah.
it being the Knights of Ren thing, because it does set us up nicely for the next piece of episode 8 news, our final piece of the evening. Actually, I think we're just about at the end of the show notes. So Luke and Chewie might fight the Knights of Ren together. This is something that I got in an email today. So this comes from a contractor and builds on the previous rumour that Rey and Luke face off against the Knight of Ren. The Knights of Ren, and that's the scene where Luke busts out the green lightsaber again for the first time.
Okay.
Could this be the scene where we go back into Rey's vision? Because it's been suggested, and I know Connor tried to use the Jedi mind trick on us last week, that Rey's vision in The Force Awakens was actually a flash forward,
shape of things to come,
and this kind of included the suggestion that the vision of the Knights of Ren that Rey had in The Force Awakens was actually of this altercation on Ahch-To.
Yeah.
And that she will be occupied with Kylo Ren while Luke and Chewie take on the Knights of Ren.
Okay.
So what do we make of that?
It's possible.
Would they have been that sort of clever about putting it, flash forwarding it like that?
Well, we know that excuse me, his name's escaped. Rian Johnson had some input on the script for 7 because he was already engaged on 8 at the time and writing 9 as well. So he had an idea of where he wanted to take the story. So there was some accommodations made by Foodles, the Force Awakens production team, so that they could incorporate certain elements that would help guide the story where Ryan needs it to go. Yeah. That might have been one of them. That might be an aspect of it, that you're seeing flashes of what we will see play out in full on screen in 8.
It'd be very good if they do, and I'll be very impressed. And that's the kind of stuff I would love to see.
Yeah, I don't know if... I think I might be on the opposite side of that coin, actually, myself, personally.
Why?
I would rather the Vision have been a flashback to events we won't see. To the fall of Luke's school. And I would rather everything in 8 be new events.
Okay.
But what do you think, Paul?
I think I'm with that idea, actually. The idea of the flash forward doesn't interest me because it's something they could use again and again and again, and it's something anybody could have used again and again and again in previous films and previous stories, which means there would have been more foresight on things. So I don't like that idea.
Yeah. It's difficult to see the future is, right?
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah,
Always in
but
motion, the future is.
maybe the an object has never had this much power before, and it's now allowing forward flashes.
By object, you mean Ray?
No, I mean lightsaber. It's attained some sort of really strong power.
Maybe it's a fusion of Ray and the crystal.
Yeah, there's definitely something there. The relationship between
something symbiotic is going on.
Definitely something there. I don't know whether or not it has. I don't know whether it has the power to focus her abilities so that she can see clear visions of what's coming, even though she's seeing them out of context and doesn't fully understand them.
Yeah,
it makes more sense to me if she's seeing things that have happened in the past. She's gaining access to things that have happened in the past.
I think any conflict we're going to have with the Knights of Ren, I think that's going to be quite cinematic, and it's going to involve Poe and Finn and several other thousand people, frankly. I mean, as far as the Knights of Ren are concerned, do we have a specific number of how big this realm is?
7, I think.
It is 7. The Magnificent 7, basically.
Yeah, kind of.
7
But
samurai.
are we assuming that they're all not force sensitive, but force powerful? Or are they literally just a knighthood that follows Kylo around?
I saw someone discussing this today somewhere. Do we think they're force sensitive? I don't personally.
Okay.
I just
think
think
it might be maybe a mix.
So they're on Kylo's coattails.
Do you know? I'm starting to believe that. You know, we mentioned earlier that perhaps Snoke isn't even that capable in the Force himself. I'm starting to wonder whether or not Snoke and the Knights of Ren are just these guys that have got maybe they're just militia and they just want to use massive super weapons, huge numbers of armed forces.
Because that's all they've got.
Because if we're right and it's Gallius Rax that is Snoke, then he's a military genius, right? And he's a tactician, and I wonder if that's their thing. And they've taken Ben Solo because of who he is, not necessarily because he's force sensitive. That might just be a perk.
So what's he going to train him in?
I don't know. I don't know what the answer to that is. Perhaps it's politics. I'd hate it to go that way. But I wonder if the fact that, it's an echo really of A New Hope, where we don't know much about Palpatine when we first see A New Hope, but you've got all these politicians and these diplomats and these bureaucrats, and in the middle you've got one dark sorcerer.
Yeah.
And I think that's the way I'm starting to view Kylo as the one guy that's got any connection to the Force and the old Republic and the old way things are done, and he carries this old weapon the same way Vader did.
Yeah.
Your sad devotion to that ancient religion. That's the thing that I'm starting to get from Kylo Ren.
Yeah.
And maybe it's more the fact that he's Luke's nephew, a trophy for Snoke, more than anything else. That's where the value comes from, potentially.
I hope that's not the case.
Yeah, well, I hope it's not the case.
To me, that makes Snoke a rather inert character all of a sudden.
Yeah, unless there's someone else in the background pulling the strings, a bigger bad.
Yeah, maybe Snoke is 2 foot 2 inches tall, and there's another guy standing behind him like, ha.
Didn't they say he was 7 foot tall?
Yeah, Neil Scanlon said he was 7 foot tall.
Yeah, he could still be 7 foot tall and be a humanoid.
Yeah, but we don't know if that's until we've seen it. Until we've seen him in relation to another character on screen, they're free to do whatever they want with it. If this whole this old man behind the curtain kind of Wizard of Oz thing actually plays for them in what they want to do with the story, they might lean into it and say, "Yep, make him a teeny tiny character like Yoda was."
Yeah, maybe Kylo's face pops off and he's being driven inside by a little Snoke.
Well, like Men in Black.
Yeah.
Colour me out. If that happens, I'm shuttering Talk Star Wars.
That would be all the cheeses.
All the cheese.
And he talks like Chris Walken.
That would be a cheese board.
He's like, wow.
What would he say, Rob?
What would he say?
What would he say? I'm in this little head.
I imagine you have questions.
Questions?
Damn, rumbled.
And I've got the answers. I've been keeping them safe. Get the bleeper ready, Mark.
Okay, before we get too after Dark Side, I think that is a
fun.
wrap for episode 40 of the Talk Star Wars podcast.
Nice.
Did you guys? Did you see the CGI video that was released the other day?
I did. I watched it earlier on
It's
today,
beautiful,
Paul.
seriously. And the way they put every teeny weeny piece, like these massive jigsaw puzzles that are collapsing and expanding and stuff. It was really, really cool.
Really stunning, isn't it? ILM, man. Stunning work.
They are wizards. They are the closest we have to real magicians.
Very quick answer to this, guys. Was there really orange screen in ROTC? ROTJ, sorry.
Orange screen?
Yeah, I saw an image earlier.
I saw a picture earlier. Yeah, Mark Hamill shared it, didn't he? It was but it was from Empire, it wasn't Jedi.
From Empire, and they were using orange screen.
Yeah, I came back with it. Were there no ginger Jedis then?
Was it in the Hoth scenes?
I don't know, but did they have the ability to automate?
It's just chroma keys. It's just chroma keys, isn't it? It's just a question of.
So it's not on a computer. It's not CGI necessarily.
You just have to have a consistent.
You just don't print that colour. So that's why they have the difference between blue screen and grey screen is if you've got a blonde actor or actress on screen, they'll naturally be green in their hair. So you can't use a green screen. You have to use blue.
Yeah, you can use any colour you like.
Yeah, so I guess it would
That's
work.
amazing.
And in the snow scenes, I don't know if you could use much blue screen because there'll be a lot of blue in the white.
I tried this the other day actually with the software I use for video editing just to see how well it would work. Yeah. Mainly for a conversation we had, Mark, about a Talk Star Wars series.
Yeah.
And I had a go with it, and it actually cut off kind of the top bits of my shoulders just because I was wearing navy blue against like a really bright blue backdrop.
Yeah.
Obviously, I need a green screen for that. So.
Yeah, when we were doing Movie Geeks Film News, Bex dressed in a green dinosaur onesie when she was hosting one episode.
Amazing.
Walked in front of a green screen and
She's
disappeared. It's basically just like a floating face, pretty much.
But that's what's great about it, isn't it? If you know your limitations with stuff like that, you can have real fun playing with it. So you can actually my body fell apart, like, that sort of thing.
Like Mr. Claypole. No one's going to understand that reference. All right,
let's get Rent a Ghost.
Rent a Ghost. There you go.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you very much for listening to Talk Star Wars again this week, people. If you'd like to support what we do here, then head over to talkstarwars.co.uk/support and become a TSW sponsor. And for as little as £1 a month, you can help us keep the lights on here at TSW. When you do so, you'll be whisked away to register your email address and you become a VIP. Then you'll have access to an exclusive feed that will give you downloadables like Christopher Walken ringtones, which I'm sure are coming, right, Rob?
Oh, yeah, I'm sure they are now.
And Greedo text alerts, right, Rob? And all sorts of wallpapers for your phone and for your desktop and things like that.
But you can handle those.
You'll also have audio commentaries for the Star Wars movies and films beyond the Star Wars movies. All of those things you'll get first as a priority. Failing that, you can support us simply by liking and favoriting us on social media and sharing all of our posts and what have you. With that said, gentlemen, where can people find you between shows?
Mine's a lot easier now. Wild About Nature, Twitter and YouTube.
Oh, yeah.
Nicely done. Synergy.
Yeah, go for it, Paul. Do it.
Yeah, I've had a little bit of a rebrand because I'm sick of saying score. Yeah, I can't remember what I'm called, actually. I'm just
Movie Score News.
I'm just Movie Score News now, yeah. So Twitter at Movie Score News, moviescorenews.com, and Facebook, moviescorenews.com.
Well done.
Cool. Right. Mine is Twitter and Instagram at Rob Wade Vision. I've also got a blog, Emotionally14. There's emotionally14.com. It has Twitter, Facebook, podcasts, YouTube. By the time it goes, this episode goes live, the YouTube will have undergone a bit of tidying up, and hopefully it will be a lot easier to find what you want. I've just realised, Mark, I've got one quick shout out that I forgot to do.
Yeah, do it, mate.
So thank you to Joe over at The Word for the really awesome Donald Glover Lando Calrissian Photoshop.
Oh yeah, that was great. I got that as well. Yeah.
You did see it, yeah?
Yeah, I saw
it's
it.
It's really the first. He did a first attempt, which was pretty good, and then he just nailed the second one.
Yeah, he
absolutely
did.
nailed it.
Landing.
And again, even after looking at that, I definitely can't picture anybody else doing it.
No, he's ruined it now.
That's it.
That's like they can pay Donald
he's ruined the casting, but at the same time, he's made it so much easier.
Yeah, it's good. Okay, you can find everything I do at talkstarwars.co.uk, and I'm on Twitter at talkstarwars. Don't forget to check out the Star Wars Commonwealth. There are links in the bottom of the show notes here. You can find the guys at Tumbling Saber and Generation X-Wing. SW Commonwealth on Twitter, and there are links there to the Facebook page. Get involved in all that stuff. It's very exciting. If you want to ask us any questions for Talk Star Wars or the TSW After Dark Side, then email us at talkstarwarsinfo@gmail.com. That's talkstarwarsinfo@gmail.com. Anything you want, anything goes, especially on the After Dark Side. We can have a lot of fun with that. Okay, don't forget to leave us a nice 5-star review in iTunes, and we will Ron Burgundy. Ron Burgundy is right, not Ron Jeremy.
Yeah, not Ron Jeremy. No, that's the After Dark Side reviews.
I was tripping myself up. I will Ron Burgundy that review for you. Clearly, the process for me, Ron Burgundy, is very different to the alternative.
Yes.
Thanks again, and we will see you guys next week.
Bye-bye.
Oh, thanks, guys. Y'all come back now, you hear?
He got it in, superb.
Yeah.
Yay, we finally got it in.
It's a wrap. It's a wrap.
That was Star Wars news.
I don't need jingles. I've got you guys. Who needs jingles?
How come it ain't come up on Twitter yet? I mean, yeah.
Can you not see it, Steve?
Jingles.
I can't see shit.
You're looking
Jingles.
at the Talk Star Wars account.
Jangles.
Twitter. I mean,
Twitter.
What do you got to say?
Steve, it's good.
Paul, do you want to throw a walking in?
I love James Cameron.
Oh, who was it that said on Twitter the other day, Imperial Walkens on the North Ridge or something?
Oh my God.
Imperial Walkens
on the North Ridge.
Shields down. You can start your approach.
Oh dear. We should have a walking off.
I didn't put that into my. I'll win. We know this.
Oh, that's got to be. That's you got to bring Walken in now because
I find it. Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Obi-Wan Kenobi. Yeah, that's brilliant.
Your father was a hell of a pilot.
You can't win.
Can you work in the? Can you work in the thing about the watch? I kept this lightsaber.
I kept this for you.
Yeah.
I kept this lightsaber in my ass.
The only place I can keep it up his ass.
Operation YouTube.
Your father wanted you to have it when you were old enough and could clean it properly. Don't lick it.
You should say it turned on like 5 times.
Oh, dearie me. I'm going to cut this out and put it in the after the end credits.
That Twitter, that poll has still not appeared.
No? That's really
his
weird.
ass.
Steve,
Profile.
Are you on
the profile?
Are you on MySpace again, Steve?
I'm on Twitter, yes. It's not in messages, is it?
No, go to the profile, Talk Star Wars profile page, and it's pinned there.
Yeah, but it should appear in my home feed, shouldn't it? Oh, hang on. My internet is incredibly slow, don't forget. Have I lost you again?
No.
No, that's all right.
Unfortunately.
Oh, no, it's just appeared, literally. That's why it's all going up. Oh, where's Leia's gun?
It's not on there, Steve.
I'm going to have to choose a Jawa. Oh, Dee!
You really are on your own planet, aren't you?
Here come the window cleaners.
I dream of a podcast award, or at least a nomination. I can't see it happening.
wow, you
His
know,
ass.
you know, wishful thinking goes a long way.
He's just a really good Christopher Walken impression. I'm really impressed,
good.
Rob.
It's absolutely superb.
I want you, Rob.
Oh,
I
get that a lot.
Right.
Do you know what?
We have our episode title this week then.
Oh, we need to get you, Rob. We need to, it's good. It would be nice if I felt, you know, I do sometimes struggle to feel the love. When everybody's like, oh, Mark on Talk Star Wars, amazing theory. Mark on Talk Star Wars interview. I'm just like, right here, guys.
But do you know what the funny thing is?
You know
pound for pound, I've said 8 words to do with Star Wars in the 40 podcasts, and 4 of them were like showstoppers.
I agree.
I think Mark will agree. So that's 50%.
No, as in, I thought that was
showstopper.
half the words you said were I agree.
You know the solution, Rob, to all the adoration and admiration that I get was
What's
just step up your game and start delivering, mate.
Well, clearly that's what I need to do, isn't it? Because you know. That's why I've got these automated tools. Is like, don't forget about me.
Don't call Paul and Steve automated tools. They're co-hosts.
No, not them. No, they're manual tools.
Right. Okay. Here we go.
I'll set them off with an algorithm.
Let's jump back into this stuff.
All right. Cool.
Okay. Here we go.